So as we know, the general reaction for the carbohydrate is there, that is the oxidation of carbohydrate has having this reaction C6H12O6 is the glucose molecule, and the general reaction in which carbohydrate oxidation can be shown will be written like this. For balancing it, we can write 6. So it is the entire reaction which is showing the oxidation of carbohydrate. So by this is the oxidation of glucose, or you can say carbohydrate. Because all carbohydrate nearly used to constitute glucose as their constituent in their monomeric form. That is the fact. That's why I have written C6H12O6. This is glucose molecule and the oxidation is taking place. So energy is getting obtained. But the fact which we require to know is that when you will measure this energy by using calorimeter, what will be the amount of the energy which is liberated out? It is an exergonic process. I already told you. Delta G, that is Gibbs free energy, will be negative for it, and the process is exergonic. Energy will be liberated out, the bond is getting broken down. That's why we are writing like this, that the delta G will be negative. And what amount of energy will be liberated here? That is measured using calorimeter in the laboratory, and you also need to know the spelling of calorimeter, because this is calorimeter which we use in chemistry lab. And if you want to know what is calorimeter, it is another instrument which is based on wavelength. There you will study the biomolecules practically by their wavelength, that is called calorimeter. But here the spelling is calorimeter, because here you are measuring energy, heat. That's why its unit is calorie. So its name is calorimeter. So it will be this much, or you can write like this much calorie, or 686 kilocalorie. So this much of energy is obtained, but the fact is there that in case if we follow the calculation whatever we have done regarding that of glycolysis and Krebs cycle, how much energy will be liberated out from 1 mole of glucose? From glycolysis, (8) ATP. I am writing 10 minus 2 because 2 ADP is formed from ATP. That's why I am writing minus 2. So net 8 ATP will be gained. So 8 ATP will be formed from Krebs cycle. (24) ATP will be formed. Likewise, from that of junction molecule, that is a process where change of pyruvic acid to that of acetyl CoA is taking place at the junction. What happened there? Also NADH will be formed, I told you. So 3 ATP will be formed on one time. So it will be 6 ATP. So how much total ATP will be there? It is 38 ATP, because sum it from here 8 ATP, 24 ATP will be 32 and 6 will be 38. So about 38 ATP is formed, but you may find variance, because in some of the textbooks and notes it is written 36, 34, or it may vary. Why? Because people take different amount of ATP which is getting generated from NADH or FADH2. That's why the energy equivalence will be different in some of the cases. But normally 38 ATP will be formed from 1 mole of glucose. But if we calculate in terms of calorie, I already told you the ATP molecule. There I told you about the bond which is high energy bond. You might have seen that on the breaking of high energy bond 7300 calories will be liberated out. So if you will multiply it with 7300, you will have 277,400, this much calorie of energy. So why the energy is less? Now the question comes, why the energy is less in this case? Here you might have seen that 686 kilocalorie energy is obtained, but here 277.4 kilocalorie is found to be generated. Why? The reason is that because 60% of the energy will be wasted, or you can say will be liberated out as heat or in other metabolic functions, due to which only 40% of energy can be obtained by the cell by using these pathways. So it should be there in our concept, and the energy calculation is very easy, because if you know the fact, there will not be any problem in calculating it. And here I am considering in terms of moles, and ATP also the calculation is done in terms of moles, so that you will have no problem in calculating the energy, and it is easier. Now we will see the other fact about it, that is regarding to Krebs cycle. So the thing is that we already have seen that how energy is calculated. We must know the particular fact about the Krebs cycle, that the process is called amphibolic process. The process of respiration which is occurring for the oxidation of glucose, or you can say the different pathways are involving in that, and that may be of type which is catabolic, or it may be of anabolic type. So together or collectively these processes are called amphibolic process. So you might have the idea about amphibolic, that is the anabolic and catabolic processes together are collectively called amphibolic process. We already have seen in anabolic process the molecules are getting joined and forming a bigger molecule, that is synthesis of molecules or biomolecules is taking place. But in case of catabolic process, the molecules is getting degraded or getting broken down, by which the energy is released, and in this process energy will be absorbed. So we already have seen the concepts which are basic or fundamentals in particularly understanding the metabolic pathways. So the processes are amphibolic process, and regarding this Krebs cycle, we need to understand that in Krebs cycle acetyl-CoA is an important molecule or entity which serve as junction for other metabolic pathways, and it used to enter into the Krebs cycle. So we may just roughly make it like this, that here CO2 is getting generated, and at several instances the electron will be taken to the electron transport chain, where finally H2O molecules will be formed in the presence of oxygen. So you will see that further, but here several places H2O is required to enter into the particular step, and H2O will be liberated out also. So this is the fact that we have seen in Krebs cycle, as we already have discussed. And now how the other things are related? Here I need to write pyruvic acid. I am writing dot dot because several steps are there that we already have seen, and the formation of two particular compounds, that is dihydroxy acetone phosphate and that of glyceraldehyde phosphate. So these two compounds are already formed where the exchange is going on, and we have seen that the pathway starts from glucose, and that is a carbohydrate moiety. It starts from glucose, that is a carbohydrate moiety, but you know that in our diet we are taking different other things like protein, fat, and all those things that we are taking. Suppose we will write fat here, this is glucose, likewise protein. So their breakdown used to occur during digestion, and finally the monomers are formed, or their simpler forms are obtained in the digestion process and by the action of enzymes, and that will be finally absorbed into the intestine and got assimilated into the blood. That I already told you. And the thing is that fat and protein, that will get changed into their monomeric forms. As you have seen, glucose is the monomeric form of carbohydrate, so it will get changed into their monomeric form, that is fatty acid. Fatty acid and glycerol. Fatty acid and glycerol will be formed by the hydrolysis of fat. That is the basic thing, but we will see that further how it is getting formed. I will tell you in the further process. But the thing is that fatty acid and glycerol will be formed after the hydrolysis of fat. So what happened, that these fatty acid and glycerol may enter into other pathways and finally form what? Acetyl-CoA, because after beta oxidation of fatty acid, the acetyl-CoA will be resulted. So you can write beta oxidation, which is very common. That's why we used to write beta oxidation. Otherwise alpha oxidation, gamma oxidation will also be there, but that is specific to certain organelles. But beta oxidation is very common. Beta oxidation will make it change into acetyl-CoA. Likewise protein will form amino acids, which on further process of transamination used to result into the formation of pyruvic acid. So that thing is occurring over here. We can see that this is Krebs cycle and this is glycolysis, whatever we have made over here. So these processes are occurring and together all things are related. That's why this is called amphibolic process, because certain synthesis is also going on from acetyl-CoA. I already told you that the synthesis of cholesterol may occur. From this molecule also, that is acetyl-CoA, further the fatty acid may also get generated, and this process is called lipogenesis. So on moving towards this side, lipogenesis process may be found to occur. Lipogenesis means synthesis of fat, so it may participate in lipogenesis process, and beta oxidation is occurring, so the breakdown will be there and acetyl-CoA will be obtained. Likewise cholesterol may be synthesized, and also ketone bodies may be synthesized by ketogenesis. Cholesterol forms the basis of the synthesis of certain hormones which are steroids and other compounds, while ketone bodies are required in brain to provide energy. So different things are occurring. That's why together it is called amphibolic process. And I already told you that at here from the glucose lies the molecule that is glucose 6-phosphate. And from glucose 6-phosphate, the compound which is synthesized is 6-phosphogluconolactone, which will enter into the pathway which is called pentose phosphate pathway. So that is parallel to glycolysis. I already told you. Likewise here the process may be in both the ways, and that which finally occurs here is that of glycogenesis. So by glycogenesis, glycogen can be synthesized, that is an anabolic process, while glycogenolysis may occur, that is the breakdown of glycogen into glucose, that is glucose 1-phosphate will be formed and finally glucose 6-phosphate will be formed. So that process is catabolic type. So that may be there. So likewise several things may occur. You can write glycogenesis and glycogenolysis. And I already told you that after glucose 6-phosphate, glucose 1-phosphate will be formed, which finally enters into glycogenesis. And here 6-phosphogluconolactone will be formed, and this will enter into pentose phosphate pathway. So these are the two important pathways which are related to this step of glycolysis, because this is getting formed from glucose. You already have seen that in glycolysis. That's why these processes are collectively known as amphibolic process, because there are different processes which are of anabolic type, while some processes of catabolic types are associated together with this type of metabolism. That's why collectively the name amphibolic is given. So I need to rub it down to discuss the other things. The important fact which we should know regarding metabolism is how to calculate respiratory coefficient, because one term is there which is called respiratory coefficient, and that is in short known as RQ value. Respiratory So it is an important term, and what does it mean? Respiratory coefficient is also a coefficient, as you might have heard in several other topics, and it is a relative term because it do not have any unit, because it is simply a relative term, and it can be helpful in calculating the basal metabolic rate, because you know that BMR is calculated to know about the metabolism, whatever is going on within the organism or within the body. So for that reason respiratory coefficient is calculated, and it depends upon how much, or you can say the amount of carbon dioxide which is evolved, and the amount of, or you can say the volume of oxygen which is getting consumed in a particular pathway. By that RQ is calculated out. So it is just the term which makes us to know or get aware of the fact that how much of the energy is getting generated from the metabolism, and in what volume the carbon dioxide is getting liberated out, and how much of the oxygen is consumed in a particular process or the oxidation of a particular biomolecule like protein, carbohydrate, fat, or any organic acid. So it is an important term in this respect. So how we will present the respiratory coefficient? Respiratory coefficient or RQ value can be calculated by the volume of CO2 liberated or evolved by the volume of oxygen consumed. So simply it can be given by the volume of CO2 liberated out or evolved, and what is in the denominator, that is the volume of oxygen which is consumed for that process. So together it is called RQ value. If we will take the ratio will be known as RQ value. That's why it has no unit. And in what way we can calculate the RQ value? Suppose we want to calculate the RQ value of carbohydrate, and you know the usual reaction or the common reaction of carbohydrate, that is C6H12O6 plus oxygen will form carbon dioxide plus water, and for balancing the expression we may write like this, and this is energy. So if you want to calculate that, how you will write? If on the basis of chemistry or on the basis of chemical reactions we will consider this, what we can say, that the sixth volume of, or you can say the sixth unit of oxygen is getting consumed for the formation of sixth volume or sixth unit of carbon dioxide. So you can write it that RQ will be equal to 6 CO2 upon 6 O2. So you will get 1. So ideally for carbohydrate the RQ value will be 1. So in this manner we can calculate the RQ value for different biomolecules which are found to participate in the metabolism within our body. So it is a very important concept and also very easy to calculate, and by this we can estimate the basal metabolic rate of an organism. That's why it is very interesting. Now we will see how to calculate the RQ value for fat. So likewise in the same manner we will calculate. So likewise we may calculate the respiratory coefficient value for fats, that is lipids, and we know that in animals particularly triglycerides are found, and the important triglyceride which is known to be found in animals like mammals is that of tripalmitin. And tripalmitin is constituted of palmitic acid. We know the formula for palmitic acid. Palmitic acid is given by the formula C16H32O2, and since fats are formed by the reaction of glycerol to that of fatty acid, so we can represent it like this. This is glycerol molecule, and when it will combine with that of fatty acid like palmitin,
that is C16H32O2.
what happen? We can obtain triglyceride and water. So the triglyceride palmitin will be obtained, and that can be given by the formula we should know the structure of fats also, because we must have the concept regarding this, otherwise we may not understand the properties of fat. That's why I have written this, and you may just represent it like this. and the linkage which is present in this molecule, that is this linkage, is called ester bond. This is ester bond. Because most of the times people are not aware of the ester bond which is present in triglycerides. So all three molecules of fatty acid will react with glycerol and triglyceride is obtained. This is a triglyceride. Plus water. So you may write like this. So this is the reaction, or you may say the formation of triglyceride from that of glycerol by combining with fatty acid. So this is the reaction, but we need to calculate the respiratory coefficient, and I told you respiratory coefficient is what? It is the ratio of whatever carbon dioxide is evolved or liberated out from the process within the body and how much oxygen is consumed for the oxidation of that particular substrate, whatever is being there, that is carbohydrate, protein or fat. So we need to calculate that thing, and that particular ratio is called respiratory coefficient. So in short, it can be given by CO2 evolved by O2 consumed. So this is respiratory coefficient, and here we need to calculate the respiratory coefficient for fat. Suppose we are taking this tripalmitin. So how will we write the reaction? It will be like this. Here the space is there, so I am writing it over here. It is the well-known reaction, so I am writing with the values also how much molecules or how much volumes of each molecule will be involved in the reaction. E is nothing, E is the energy which will be evolved, and the two molecules of tripalmitin will get oxidized with oxygen, and how much CO2 and H2O will be formed, that is represented in this reaction. So now we need to write for respiratory coefficient. If we take this as 145 volume or 145 unit of oxygen is required for the oxidation of tripalmitin or this particular fat, how much CO2 will be liberated out? The CO2 liberated out will be 102 units or 102 volume. So we can just represent it in this form, that is 102 volume of CO2 by 145 volume or unit of oxygen. So it will be nearly about 0.7. So most of the fats have the RQ value nearly 0.7, and it is the least value, because if you will compare carbohydrate, protein and fat have the minimum RQ value, and that's why by this formula we can say that it requires maximum amount of oxygen for its oxidation, because in denominator if the value will be more, obviously the RQ value will be less. That's why we could say that more amount of oxygen or more volume of oxygen will be required in this case for the oxidation of fat in comparison to other biomolecules, that is carbohydrate and proteins. So it is clear now, and we can just remember this fact that its RQ value is minimum. So I need to rub it down, then we will talk about the RQ value of proteins. The RQ value for proteins is nearly about the respiratory coefficient for proteins is about ranging from 0.8 to 0.9. So its RQ value comes in between fat and that of carbohydrate, because carbohydrate has maximum RQ value. That's why the RQ value is lying in the range of 0.8 to 0.9. So it should be remembered. And if you know, the proteins are little bit complex molecules, because there may be several types of amino acid which can be present in a protein. As we have learned that 20 types of amino acids are present, and although we have studied about 22 amino acids, because 2 of them have been recently discovered. So this is the fact. And now we'll see some other compounds which have their RQ value which is different from these. Now if we consider about the RQ value of organic acids, suppose you want to know the respiratory coefficient for acetic acid, it will be 1. It is 1 or unity. But in case you will consider other organic acids like oxalic acid, succinic acid or citric acid, their RQ value is more than 1. So in case somebody will ask whether which compound has RQ value more than 1, then you can say simply that organic acids have RQ value, that is have respiratory coefficient more than 1. So it should be remembered, because it is very essential, and most of the times these things are asked in the examination also. So we are now aware of this fact. This is respiratory coefficient, and this is the estimation of what, as I said earlier, that is, it is just giving the estimation of the energy which is liberated out from a definite amount of the food material, or you can say such biomolecules like protein, carbohydrate or fat. And other thing is that it also gives us the measurement of BMR, that is basal metabolic rate, which is the estimation of the metabolism or the efficiency of the metabolism which is going on in an organism or our body. So it is a fact, and this is an important concept that we should know. So simply we may write this thing in 2 points, that is, it gives us the estimation of basal metabolic rate of the organism at the level of body system or organ, tissues, etc. And another fact is that what RQ value signifies, it signifies the energy which can be obtained from a definite or unit amount of the food material which particularly contain biomolecules, that is biomolecules. And another thing is that we can utilize the instruments like respirometer or calorimeter, which is often present in our lab for the estimation of respiratory coefficient. So this concept is very helpful in understanding the energy liberated out from that of food materials, particularly when we try to estimate the energy that is liberated out from a particular food material in our body system. So it is an essential concept to understand the different type of biomolecules and their estimation in terms of energy, that how much energy they will produce when get metabolized in our body. So this is important. And now we will see some more concepts regarding this cellular respiration. So we have seen about the Krebs cycle, and we also have seen the liberation of energy in some of the steps. So now we got the idea regarding this. Now we will see about the type of enzymes. We already have seen the enzymes. Now we will see what type of enzymes are used in the steps of Krebs cycle. As we know, the first type of enzyme, or you can say the class of enzyme which is regarded to be of first type, is the oxidoreductases. Oxidoreductases. And in this category most of the dehydrogenases belongs, because it carries out oxidation and reduction reaction. So we may write the name of the enzymes whatever are found to be involved in the pathway, and that are isocitrate dehydrogenase, likewise the next one is alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, likewise succinate dehydrogenase, and the next one is malate dehydrogenase. So these are basically the type of enzymes that used to involve, and this is oxidoreductase, and these comes under the category of oxidoreductases. Now the other enzyme type which are found to involved in this are lyases. And what are those enzymes? And you know the lyases belong to the enzyme type that is fourth, because first one is oxidoreductase, second one is transferases, and the third one is hydrolases, while the fourth one is lyases. And after lyases we have isomerases, and the last type, that is ligases. So this is a fourth type, or class fourth. So this enzyme is of class fourth. This is class. We should remember the class also. So here we can write about liases. So liases like citrate synthase. Citrate synthase. Now, which is the next enzyme which comes in the category of liase, and that one is succinyl CoA synthetase. It is also called, or its another name is also there, and that is succinyl CoA thiokinase. And one more enzyme which belong to this category is fumarase. So these enzymes together come under the category of liases. That's why this is the fourth class of the enzyme which we have mentioned. And now, what other enzymes are there which play their role in the Krebs cycle? So those are isomerases. Isomerases, and it belong to fifth class. So which enzyme comes under this category? You might have seen the enzymes which play its role initially in the Krebs cycle or citric acid cycle, and that one is aconitase. Aconitase. It is very important, and this aconitase enzyme you have seen that play its role in converting citric acid to cis-aconitic acid, and then after cis-aconitic acid is getting converted into that of isocitric acid with the help of this enzyme, that is aconitase. So at both these steps this isomerase enzyme used to operate. So these are the enzymes by their classes, and we should remember this. Now we will see other things which are related to this Krebs cycle. That is regarding the regulation of Krebs cycle. So now we will see some of the factors which comes in the regulation of Krebs cycle. So that are like the regulation of Krebs cycle means like enzymes. So which enzyme is most important in its regulation? You might have seen that one, and that one is isocitrate dehydrogenase. Due to its allosteric activity, the step is rate limiting. That's why I told you that the formation of alpha ketoglutaric acid from that of isocitric acid forms the rate limiting step of the citric acid cycle. So that one is isocitrate dehydrogenase. We can write is important and the step where it involved for carrying out catalytic activity is regarded to be rate limiting step. And what other thing is important in this context, that is there are some inhibitors which also used to play role in that of Krebs cycle if present in the body. Suppose we will talk about the presence of chemicals or some external chemicals which may just inhibit the Krebs cycle or which may put some sort of hurdle in the steps of Krebs cycle. So that are like fluoroacetate, and the next one is arsenite and malonate. So these chemicals may particularly inhibit some of the steps of Krebs cycle, and we may mark which step is getting influenced by a particular chemical. Suppose fluoroacetate is there, it may inhibit which step? Acetate inhibits the step so it may inhibit the step in which cis-aconitic acid is formed from that of citric acid. Likewise, if we talk about arsenite, so it may inhibit the step in which formation of succinyl-CoA is taking place from that of alpha-ketoglutaric acid. So we can just represent it so that we may remember it by the reaction step. And likewise, what other chemical is there? Third one is malonate. It may inhibit the step in which formation of malic acid is taking place from that of fumaric acid. You must remember the name together with its spelling, because the malic acid has having the spelling MALIC, while MALEIC is maleic acid, which is the isomer of fumaric acid, that is, it is the geometrical isomer. So we need to know it by their structures. So these are the important regulating factors, although there are so many factors which may influence Krebs cycle, but we must know about the enzymes as well as chemicals which may cause inhibition of the pathway in particular steps that we have seen. Now we will see further about other concepts. So there are some of the influencing or regulating factors which we may find in that of Krebs cycle, which are very important. And what are these factors? In addition to that, we have discussed previously. So these are the factors like the concentration of molecules like ADP and oxidized form of coenzymes as FAD, NAD plus, etc. is essential to stimulate some of the steps of Krebs cycle. Why I am writing like this? Because the high concentration, or you can say the high amount of ADP is required for the activation or stimulation of the enzyme like that of isocitrate dehydrogenase. A high concentration of ADP may stimulate activity of isocitrate dehydrogenase. Likewise, if you will see, the oxidized form of NAD plus will stimulate several enzymes, including that of enzymes which are alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase and other dehydrogenases, which are mostly stimulated or promoted in their activity by the presence of this particular entity in high concentration. And FAD is also the oxidized form of FADH2. So their high concentration will stimulate the enzyme. So it is the positive regulation of such factors, and we may see that these oxidized coenzymes can be provided from that of electron transport chain. In case somebody may ask that from where such oxidized molecules are made available to the Krebs cycle, these are made available from the electron transport chain where the redox process is going on. So we must keep this thing in mind. And the other important thing is that in regulation, the cofactors or the different vitamins which are serving as cofactor for the enzymes is important. The presence of cofactors or vitamins like B2, vitamin B2 is riboflavin, so it provides flavin group to that of FAD, and B3 it provides niacin to that of nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, that is NAD, and B5 that is pantothenic acid, which is required for coenzyme A. So these are the different cofactors are required for their proper activity. So it also participates in the regulation. And the two enzymes that is isocitrate dehydrogenase and alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase are the prime regulatory factors. So these are the prime regulatory factors. As we have seen, isocitrate dehydrogenase used to cause the rate limiting step where it works, that is in conversion of isocitrate into that of alpha ketoglutaric acid. Likewise, alpha ketoglutarate, which causes the conversion of alpha ketoglutarate into that of succinyl CoA, is also an important enzyme which is responsible for the regulation of the pathway. So these things we must keep in mind. and there are certain inhibitors which may affect this pathway, and that is inhibitors like malonate, arsenite, and that of fluoroacetate. Are the entities for inhibition of pathway at specific steps. That we already have seen that malonate can inhibit the pathway where the conversion of fumaric acid into that of malic acid is going on, and arsenite may inhibit the pathway where the conversion of alpha ketoglutarate into that of succinyl CoA is going on, and fluoroacetate used to inhibit the pathway where the conversion of citric acid into cis aconitic acid occurs. So these are the important regulatory factors for Krebs cycle. So now we will see some other relevant facts. Now we will see the next pathway, which is pentose phosphate pathway, and it is also an anabolic process. Pentose phosphate pathway. It is also called hexose monophosphate shunt or pathway. So this is a parallel pathway. We can consider it to be a parallel pathway to that of glycolysis. A parallel pathway to that of glycolysis, because diversion occurs from glucose 6-phosphate towards this, and this is an anabolic pathway. We can consider it to be an also considered to be an anabolic pathway. And what happens in this? We can find the synthesis of NADP, as we have discussed earlier that NADP is formed in anabolic processes like photosynthesis, but here also NADP is synthesized, that is NADPH form can be obtained, and mostly we can see that in other pathways NAD is there, that is NAD plus or NADH, that form of high energy compounds are found, but here NADP is synthesized. What other thing is that here the precursor molecules like that of ribose sugar is synthesized, which is used in nucleotide synthesis, or you can say the synthesis of nucleic acids. So now we will see how to just represent the glyoxylate pathway. Now we will see another pathway which is just a variant of Krebs cycle, and that is glyoxylate pathway. Glyoxylate pathway. It is just like Krebs cycle, but it seems to be different. Why? Because it do not occurs in mitochondria, and glyoxylate pathway is found to occur in plants, protists, fungi, bacteria, and so many such organisms, but it do not occurs usually in animals. And glyoxylate is a compound which is formed in the intermediate step of this pathway. That's why its name is glyoxylate pathway, and it was earlier discovered by Hans Kornberg. This pathway was discovered by Hans Kornberg. So, this pathway is associated with the organisms. It is associated or found in the organisms like plants, fungi, protists, bacteria, etc. So in case somebody will ask whether this pathway occurs in yeast or not, so yeast is a fungi, so it will occur in that. So this should be there. And what other things is important, that is it is not associated with that of mitochondria, but it is somewhat similar to that of Krebs cycle. It is regarded to be a variant. Variant means somewhat different, but most of the things are similar. So it is regarded to be a variant of Krebs cycle or citric acid cycle. Due to the occurrence of this pathway, a particular organelle which is found in that of plants is called glyoxysomes. You might have heard about that organelle. So this is glyoxysomes. It is often found to occur in organelle, usually found in plants, which is a type of microbodies. These are regarded to be microbodies. Peroxisomes, glyoxysomes, these are called microbodies. Microbodies as glyoxysomes. Glyoxysome, or it is a special type of peroxisome, because glyoxysome is just like a peroxisome, but it differs in some of the aspect. A special type of peroxisome. For sake of knowledge, I would like to tell you one thing, that peroxisomes are found in plants as well as animals. But the thing is that peroxisomes are found usually in the cells of liver and that of kidney in case of higher animals. But if you will see, in case of plants, these are often found in the germinating seeds. So it should be there in our knowledge. And particularly the things whatever I told you, that is regarding peroxisomes, and glyoxysome is a special type of peroxisome, and the glyoxylate cycle used to occur in this. So this is an important fact. The other things which are there in this, that glyoxylate cycle used some other enzymes which are not found in Krebs cycle. It also utilizes other enzymes like isocitrate, lyase and malate synthase, which are often not found associated with citric acid cycle. So these are the important features, and now we will see how we can make this pathway, that is glyoxylate pathway. It is also important, and there are some aspects which are relevant regarding this pathway that I will tell you. So first we will make this pathway, how to show this pathway, and what are the enzymes and steps which are particularly involved in this. And now we will see the glyoxylate pathway, how to show the glyoxylate pathway, since it starts from acetyl CoA. Acetyl CoA is the prime molecule which enters into the Krebs cycle, and it is a variant of that of citric acid cycle or Krebs cycle. So it will first form citric acid, and here we know that oxaloacetic acid will combine with that of acetyl CoA and citric acid will be produced. Now from citric acid different compounds like that of cis-aconitic acid, isocitric acid will be formed. Since this is a variant of that of Krebs cycle, so we need to utilize that framework, that is utilized by glyoxylate pathway, and this pathway is glyoxylate. And it will form oxalosuccinic acid, or you may directly write alpha ketoglutaric acid also, alpha ketoglutaric acid. I am showing it with blue pen. Why? Because these steps will not come in glyoxylate pathway, and the glyoxylate will utilize isocitric acid in getting converted into glyoxylate compound. So alpha ketoglutaric acid will form succinyl CoA. I am showing those steps which occurs in Krebs cycle, and after that what happened, that succinic acid or succinate you may call it succinate or succinic acid will be formed, and after succinate fumarate will be formed. Or you may call it as fumaric acid. Likewise malic acid will be formed or malate, and then after oxaloacetic acid will be formed. But this is a bypass. So what happened, that from glyoxylate directly succinate will be formed, and one enzyme will play its role, and that enzyme is called isocitrate lyase. It is thereby converted to malate also. How? Since acetyl CoA I am showing it dot dot because transversal is there. the same acetyl CoA I am utilizing for this pathway from this point. So it will be getting converted to glyoxylate. And from glyoxylate, what happened, that it is possible that malic acid or malate can be synthesized directly, and what enzyme will work in this step for the conversion, that is called malate synthase. So it is very important. You may just mention here, and we may see that glyoxylate is the compound which is lying at the junction, because by this the conversion of isocitrate is possible into succinic acid. On the other hand, it may directly get converted to malate. So this glyoxylate pathway is a very important pathway, particularly in those organisms where organic acids like acetic acid is utilized as the food material, or you can say that are dependent on organic acids for their metabolism. That is the main source of energy for those organisms. So that is acetic acid. So from there it is possible that acetic acid gets converted into acetyl CoA, and acetyl CoA, when it will get converted into acetyl CoA, thereby what happen, by using glyoxylate pathway or this bypass, the energy can be generated. But one thing more, we need to remember that this oxaloacetate may directly converted into that of phosphoenol pyruvate. If we will see gluconeogenesis, there what happened, it will get directly converted into phosphoenol pyruvate, which is the second last step of that of glycolysis. So it is very important to note, and I have written here only the outlook or the framework of the glyoxylate pathway, which occurs in most of the organisms like that of plants and fungi in glyoxysomes, and others, that is bacteria, protists, etc., that we already have mentioned. Now we need to rub it down. And we need to write two facts about it, that the glyoxylate pathway provides capability for utilizing organic acids like acetic acid or such compounds for energy generation in different organisms like that of fungi, plants, bacteria, etc. Even protists also used to generate energy utilizing this glyoxylate cycle. Now the other point is, and we already have seen that glyoxylate pathway is a variant of citric acid cycle. So what happened, that the framework of the citric acid cycle is utilized in this pathway also, and it is said to be the bypass of citric acid cycle. So it is a bypass of citric acid cycle. The other thing is that Via this cycle, gluconeogenesis is promoted because the acetic acid like compound get converted into malate or oxaloacetate, which may further gets converted into phosphoenol pyruvate like compound that will finally results into the formation of glucose. So gluconeogenesis is promoted utilizing this pathway framework. So using this pathway, gluconeogenesis can be promoted. Also, one important fact which is related to this is that it is the matter of research in the field of pharmaceuticals also. Why? Because if you will see the tuberculosis causing bacteria or fungi which are causing diseases, that may be inhibited by blocking this pathway, that may be inhibited by the process of blocking this pathway. So it is very important. This pathway is targeted in bacteria, fungi, etc. to treat the diseases, particularly tuberculosis. If this pathway is stopped by blocking some of the step or by inhibiting some of the enzyme, what will happen? The disease will get cured. So for that reason, what happened? This particular pathway is targeted in those pathogens. That's why in case of Mycobacterium, which used to cause tuberculosis, such strategy is used, and different disease causing fungi. So these are the relevant points regarding lyoxalate pathway. Now we will see the other things which are associated with that. One more process, that is gluconeogenesis, occurs by the support of citric acid cycle, and the enzymes which participate in gluconeogenesis are important, that we should know. And these are the enzymes like pyruvate carboxylase, other one is phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase, and the other two enzymes that we already have seen, that are fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase and the other one is glucose 6-phosphatase. So these are various enzymes which are responsible for carrying out gluconeogenesis. As we know, phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase causes the conversion of oxaloacetic acid into that of phosphoenol pyruvate directly. Likewise, what happened? That pyruvate carboxykinase causes the conversion of pyruvate into that of oxaloacetate, that is oxaloacetic acid. So these enzymes, particularly if we look, phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase, by its help oxaloacetic acid, which is the product of Krebs cycle, will get converted into phosphoenol pyruvate that is the second last step of that of glycolysis. By there the reverse conversion used to occur and finally glucose will be formed, and there the two steps, that is fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase and glucose 6-phosphatase, where the liberation of phosphate will occur, and further finally the fructose 6-phosphate gets converted into glucose. So that thing is the part of gluconeogenesis, that is the synthesis of glucose from other sources which are not carbohydrate. So this is important to know. Now one more thing is there that we should know regarding that of Krebs cycle, which is the destination where different reduced form of coenzymes used to go and get processed there, that is electron transport chain. Electron transport chain. It is the topic of elaborate discussion, but let me introduce only few facts regarding this. That is, in electron transport chain, electron carriers used to work, and at different places you might have seen that from various sites in that of Krebs cycle the reduced form of coenzymes are generated, like that of NADH and FADH2. These used to go directly to electron transport chain carrying the electron, and there the redox process occurs in chain. Here the redox process is carried out, and finally the energy is synthesized by the ATP synthase enzyme, which is located in the last, and it contains 5 different protein, or you may say enzyme complexes. And different molecules like coenzyme Q, that is a specific type of coenzyme used to work, and likewise FES, that is iron sulfide, and components like cytochromes A, A3, B, C, and all such type of cytochromes used to work, and particularly cytochrome A and A3 is found to be associated to that of copper. So different such electron carriers used to work for electron transport chain, and finally how it works with the help of the generation of proton gradient across the inner mitochondrial membrane. It works by the generation of proton gradient. We can write proton in this manner also, that is H plus, across inner mitochondrial membrane. And it was explained earlier by Mitchell. Peter Mitchell was the worker who explained this, and it is explained by chemiosmotic theory, which was given by him in year 1961. So we need to remember these facts, and the different 5 protein complexes are there, I already told you, and that contains like that of NADH complex, FADH complex, which is also called succinate complex, because there the reduced form of coenzyme is sent from the place where succinate is getting converted into fumarate, as you have seen in Krebs cycle. Likewise, the other complexes like BC1 complexes, cytochrome oxidase complexes, and ATP synthetase complex. So different 5 complexes are present. That is the elaborate topic of discussion that may be continued further. But this is the important thing, and you must know the sequence of the cytochromes which are present in that, because that is often asked in the exams also. And that is, we can write using blue pen: cytochrome B, cytochrome C1, cytochrome C, cytochrome A, cytochrome A3. So this is the specific sequence of cytochrome which is present in electron transport chain and which is serve as the acceptor of the electron. Finally, that is oxygen, and oxygen used to serve as final electron acceptor. Thereby water molecule will be formed. So this is regarding the electron transport chain in short, and it is very important in concern to the energy generation via cellular respiration, particularly when we talk about oxidative phosphorylation, that is synthesis of ATP or attachment of phosphate molecule to that of ADP, by which ATP is synthesized in the presence of oxygen. So this process is called oxidative phosphorylation. So it is very important. Oxidative phosphorylation. So it is very important and we must know this. So these are the things which we have discussed regarding cellular respiration. I hope that you will get a lot of knowledge and different points as well as concepts regarding this, and the lecture will be continued further on interesting topics. Thanks for watching this video. Dear students, I have written some facts regarding the Krebs cycle, and these are the points which I summarized so that we can have an overview of the Krebs cycle, and that's why this summary is prepared. So let us see the key points. Krebs cycle is also known by the name as citric acid cycle or tricarboxylic acid cycle, that is TCA cycle, and it was discovered by Hans Adolf Krebs together with William Arthur Johnson in year 1937, that we already have read. And what is the next point? It occurs in mitochondrial matrix and considered to be an aerobic pathway because oxygen is utilized in this pathway, that's why it is regarded to be an aerobic pathway. So we already have seen while glycolysis is an anaerobic pathway. So what is the next point? Glyoxylate pathway is a variant of Krebs cycle and regarded to be an anabolic as well as anaerobic process that occurs in plants, fungi, protists, bacteria, etc. So what is the next point? Glyoxylate pathway is a variant of Krebs cycle. Now here I am talking about glyoxylate pathway. What is glyoxylate pathway? It is a bypass of the Krebs cycle where a new compound is synthesized which is known by the name glyoxylate, and it is just similar to that of Krebs cycle, but it can utilize organic acids like that of acetic acid. That's why it is carried out in different organisms like plant, fungi, protists, bacteria, etc. And it is an anabolic type process because most of the times gluconeogenesis occurs with this process, and also it is anaerobic process. So you can compare that Krebs cycle is an aerobic process while that of glyoxylate cycle is an anaerobic process. So we should keep this thing in mind. Now what is the next point? Glyoxylate pathway or a bypass of citric acid cycle. That's why we are calling it as a bypass of citric acid cycle, that is Krebs cycle. Was discovered by Hans Kronberg in year 1957. It occurs in glyoxysomes like organelles and serve as the means of gluconeogenesis. If we see, certain organelles are present in plants which are specialized and there such process is carried out, and that's why its name is glyoxysome, and it is associated with plants and fungi. You may find such organelles which are frequently present there. Now what is the next point? Glyoxylate pathway is helpful to generate energy by converting acetic acid like organic compounds into glucose using some part of the citric acid framework. This point is very important because if you see the citric acid framework, the skeleton, the carbon skeleton, or you may say the basic framework is used of that of Krebs cycle, particularly in case of glyoxylate pathway. And what happened that it served like a bypass. If you will see, it is a bypass of the citric acid cycle where the anabolic process will occur in the end, because what happened that oxaloacetic acid is synthesized and there two new enzymes are used. We will discuss that thing further. Now what is the next point? Krebs cycle comprises of sequence of reactions in mitochondria. Krebs cycle occurs in mitochondria and there we may find dehydrogenation and decarboxylation type reactions in different steps, and that's why I have written that there oxidation of acetyl-CoA entity to carbon dioxide and reduced form of coenzymes used to take place, and finally carbon dioxide and water is obtained due to complete oxidation of the substrate, which is glucose, if you will see initially in the start of glycolysis. So this is the main theme. Now let us see the other point. Citric acid cycle provide the means of complete oxidation of biomolecules. So it is a very relevant point because here the complete oxidation of biomolecule is taking place. You may see that at the end of this cycle we are obtaining carbon dioxide and water molecule. So this is the main feature of this cycle. That's why most of the things get converted into acetyl-CoA and finally get oxidized completely. So we should remember this point. Now what's the next point? Citric acid cycle is the common pathway, or you can say the final pathway for the oxidation of carbohydrate, lipid, protein, glucose, fatty acids, and most of the amino acids are metabolized to acetyl-CoA. And in the last I have written that acetyl-CoA was discovered by Lippmann. The full name is Fritz Lippmann and he discovered that in year 1946. So this is the fact. We need to put comma here because these are the separate biomolecules. Now what is the next fact that is written in this? This is coenzyme A moiety serve as prime junction for interexchange of vital pathways, because we have seen that coenzyme A serve as vital junction. By this the exchange of different biomolecules used to take place, because you may find that the interexchange of amino acids as well as synthesis of several products from other different biomolecules is possible by this junction. That's why it is a very important junction, or you may say it to be a pivotal point in the pathway. Now we will see the other fact that is written just below that. Being the constituent of various coenzymes, vitamins play crucial role. How the vitamins play crucial role? Because most of the coenzymes which are playing their part in the cycle at different steps used to be derived from that of vitamins. That's why in the point I have written that flavin is present in FAD, and flavin is the group which is present with vitamin B2, that is riboflavin. Now likewise niacin is present in NAD+, and niacin is present in vitamin B3. Likewise pantothenic acid, which is the component of coenzyme A, is present in vitamin B5. So different coenzymes are derived by the help of these vitamins. Krebs cycle plays a key role in metabolism as involved in processes like fatty acid synthesis, cholesterol synthesis, ketogenesis, transamination, deamination, gluconeogenesis, etc. So it is explaining that different sort of biomolecules or the components of different macromolecules like proteins, fats, and all such molecules are being synthesized or get interexchanged into different forms by the help of this cycle. So we need to remember this point also. And what is ketogenesis? Ketogenesis is synthesis of ketone bodies. And what is transamination? Often it occurs when amino acid is required to be converted into pyruvic acid like molecule. And what is deamination? By deamination, ammonia is getting liberated, and by that the amino acid molecule can be degraded. So this is important to know. Now we will see the next point. The regulation of citric acid cycle depends upon important allosteric enzymes like that of isocitrate dehydrogenase and alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, as the activity of the former means the previous one, that is isocitrate dehydrogenase, is allosterically stimulated by the presence of, or you can say by the high concentration of ADP. This is important fact which is explaining the allosteric enzyme activity. And what is written after that? Moreover, the availability of oxidized form of cofactors like FAD and NAD plus used to primarily influence the regulation of pathway in positive manner. So if we want to stimulate the pathway, or if we want to promote the pathway, the concentration of these coenzymes, that is FAD, NAD plus, must be present in high concentration. So this is written in this point. Now what is the next point? In contrast, the activity of citrate synthetase is inhibited by NADH, that is the reduced form of coenzymes. So now you might be aware of the fact that the reduced form of coenzymes will inhibit the activity at most of the times. So it is evident from here. Now what is the next point? The step pertaining to formation of alpha ketoglutarate from isocitrate is regarded to be the rate limiting step due to allosteric functioning of the step catalyzing enzyme, that is isocitrate dehydrogenase. I already have told you this fact and marked in the pathway also that what is the rate limiting step? Rate limiting step is the formation of alpha ketoglutarate from that of isocitrate. And which enzyme plays its role? That's why the rate is limiting by that particular step, and that enzyme is isocitrate dehydrogenase, which is allosterically influenced, and that's why it makes this particular step as rate limiting. So we will see the next point, and that is the reduced coenzymes are oxidized by respiratory chain, that is electron transport system. So such coenzymes serve as the electron carrier which facilitates the oxidative phosphorylation process. So what is meant by oxidative phosphorylation? Oxidative phosphorylation means formation of ATP or the addition of phosphate in the presence of oxygen. That's why the synthesis of ATP in the presence of oxygen is regarded to be oxidative phosphorylation process. And you might have heard about the chemiosmotic theory which was given by Mitchell, and it explains this entire phenomenon. So the name was Mitchell. He gave chemiosmotic theory. It was in year 1961. So this is a fact related to this point. The full name was Peter Mitchell, that we should know. And now we will see the next point in regarding to this context, and that is Krebs cycle is a amphibolic pathway. What is amphibolic? Amphibolic means the pathway which has both types of characteristic, that is on one side it is anabolic, on other side it is catabolic. So what happened that in Krebs cycle the breakdown or the oxidation is also taking place, and if we consider gluconeogenesis and such processes which may be facilitated by using Krebs cycle, we can call it as anabolic, because different such sort of things are occurring with the help of the Krebs cycle framework. Now what is written further? Since besides oxidation and decarboxylation it provides a relevant means for carrying out gluconeogenesis, fatty acid synthesis, and the synthesis of cholesterol, ketogenesis particularly which occurs in animals, and amino acids interconversion by providing its pathway component framework. So its pathway component framework is utilized for different processes, that is the synthesis of cholesterol, the synthesis of ketone bodies, and such other frameworks, and the main framework or skeleton of this pathway is also used for gluconeogenesis process, which is very important because their glucose is synthesized from different other sources, and whatever processes that we have mentioned in this point, that is ketogenesis, cholesterol synthesis, all are linked to that of acetyl CoA junction, and that shows a type of diversion and interconversion from that particular point, or you can say that particular key point of the pathway. So it is very important to know. Now we will see the points which we have written further over there. Formation of oxaloacetic acid occurs at ultimate step of pathway, that is regarded to be anapleuritic reaction. Since 4-carbon state, what is 4-carbon state? The molecule oxaloacetic acid is restored to combine with acetyl CoA. That means when the acetyl CoA will get combined, which is a 2-carbon molecule, when it will combine to that of oxaloacetic acid, again 6-carbon sugar citric acid will be formed. So the ultimate step, that is formation of oxaloacetic acid, will help in the restoration of the previous state. Now the cycle starts from the same state. That's why this point is written, and this particular word, that is anapleuritic reaction, is given to this type of process. Now what is the next point? The site of inhibition in citric acid cycle is possible by several inhibitors also, like fluoroacetate inhibits conversion of citrate to cis-aconitate. What is the next one? Arsenite inhibits the conversion of alpha ketoglutarate to succinyl CoA, and likewise malonate stops that conversion which occurs from succinate to fumarate. So we have seen here that there are several inhibitors which can inhibit the citric acid cycle in different steps if these are present there. So it is important to know about these inhibitors also. Now the next point, which is concerned to the energy generation. Energy calculation can be done using these steps, whatever I have summarized here. That is, pyruvate gets converted into acetyl CoA, and in this conversion what is happening? NAD plus is getting converted into NADH, and how much energy will be obtained by that? That is equivalent to 3 ATP. Likewise, in the next step, isocitrate gets converted into oxalosuccinate, or you can say alpha ketoglutarate finally, and that conversion also used to result into the formation of NADH from NAD plus. By there, or thereby 3 ATP gets generated. Likewise, in the third step we can see, with reference to pyruvate, we can see that alpha ketoglutarate can be converted into succinyl CoA, and in that conversion what happened? The reduction of coenzyme occurs, that is NAD plus gets converted into NADH, and how much ATP will be obtained? 3 ATP, because the energy equivalence of NADH is 3 ATP. Likewise, in the next step, succinyl CoA gets converted into succinate, which is followed by a coupled reaction. There ATP formation occurs by a coupled reaction with respect to that of GDP. So there what is happening? That one GTP will be formed, which is equivalent to that of 1 ATP, which is equivalent to that of 1 ATP. We must note this point also. Now what is the next one? Succinate gets converted into fumarate, and that conversion results into the formation of FADH2, that is the reduced form of FAD, and there 2 ATP is obtained because energy equivalence to 2 ATP, and we need to understand that of electron transport system if we want to know that why 2 ATP is getting generated in the conversion of FAD to FADH2, why 3 ATP is getting generated in the conversion of NAD plus to NADH. So these are basically the electron carriers which go to electron transport system, thereby the energy is generated by the help of ATP synthase enzyme, and their cytochromes are present. Now what is the next one? That is malate gets converted into oxaloacetate, and by that conversion again we can see that NADH gets formed from NAD plus, and there also 3 ATP will be generated. So by the summary we can calculate that if we start from acetyl-CoA, which is just present in the Krebs cycle, there we can see 12 ATP is getting generated when one molecule of acetyl-CoA is getting oxidized in stepwise manner. But if you start the energy calculation from pyruvate, which is the final product of glycolysis, we can see that 15 ATP is getting generated on the oxidation of one molecule of pyruvate. Likewise, two molecules of pyruvate will be obtained from glucose on its breakdown by glycolysis. So there will be 30 ATP if we count from pyruvate, and likewise 24 ATP will be there when we count for the particular cycle, that is Krebs cycle, starting from acetyl-CoA. So this is the main concept regarding energy generation. Now what is the next one? Enzymes types involved in citric acid cycle that are oxidoreductases involved in this pathway are dehydrogenases, particularly isocitrate dehydrogenase, alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, succinate dehydrogenase, malate dehydrogenase, that used to involve in different steps of the pathway. Now what is the next one? That is lyases. What are the lyases which used to involve in the pathway? That are citrate synthase, fumarase, aconitase. Often what happened that people used to consider aconitase as an isomerase type enzyme, that is it belongs to class isomerase, but it do not belongs to isomerases class, it belongs to particularly lyases. So it is a lyase. Likewise, the other enzyme like succinyl-CoA synthetase, which is also called succinyl-CoA thiokinase, that I have written here, is a ligase enzyme, because the new bonds are formed by the help of this enzyme. So this is regarding the types of enzymes which is used in Krebs cycle, that is citric acid cycle. Now what is the next point that I have written regarding glyoxylate pathway? So there are particularly 5 enzymes which are there in citric acid cycle that are utilized for glyoxylate pathway, and these are citrate synthase, aconitase, succinic acid dehydrogenase, which you may call succinate dehydrogenase, fumarase, and malate dehydrogenase. So these enzymes are already present in that of Krebs cycle, but are used in glyoxylate pathway also. Now what are the 2 additional enzymes which are specifically for glyoxylate pathway? That are isocitrate lyase and malate synthase. So it is important to note. Now regarding the process of gluconeogenesis that I have written here, that is enzymes to promote gluconeogenesis are pyruvate carboxylase, phosphoenol carboxykinase. These are the 2 important enzymes which are required for gluconeogenesis, that is formation of glucose from other sources which are not carbohydrate. And what other enzymes that used to participate, that we also have seen in that of glycolysis, and that are fructose 1,6 bisphosphatase, and the other one is glucose 6 phosphatase, because there the pathway is going in the reverse direction and leads to the formation of glucose. So we must keep this point, and that's why in the last I have written that these enzymes used to conduct anabolism, because there the synthesis of glucose is occurring. Now what is the next point? And that point is very important, that is regarding respiratory coefficient, and in short it is called RQ value. And here I have written that form just like a formula, that is volume of carbon dioxide evolved by the volume of oxygen consumed, and it is a relative quantity, so it has no unit. Likewise, we need to evaluate in terms of biomolecules. So respiratory coefficient of carbohydrate containing glucose subunits is 1, or if you will consider most of the carbohydrates, the value will come out nearly to be 1. And if we see for protein, the respiratory coefficient is around 0.8 to 0.9, and most of the times it comes around 0.9. And regarding that of fat or lipid, the respiratory coefficient comes about to be 0.7. We already have seen in case of tripalmitin, so we are aware of the fact. Now we will see whatever is written after that. It means relatively more volume of oxygen is required for oxidation of lipids. When more oxygen quantity will be consumed for oxidation, the respiratory coefficient will be less. So if we consider for fat, more volume of oxygen will be required for its oxidation if we will compare to that of protein and carbohydrate. So it is a relevant point and also too much conceptual. Now organic acids have RQ value usually greater than 1. You might have seen that RQ value of acetic acid is 1, while that of oxalic acid, citric acid, succinic acid, these have RQ value little bit greater than 1. So it must be remembered. Now respiratory coefficient value is the indication of basal metabolic rate. BMR means basal metabolic rate and estimation of energy generation efficiency. How much energy is getting generated by that particular type of biomolecule or compound, we may estimate by calculating RQ value. So it also signifies that thing. Now we will see the next point. The electron transport system contains 5 proteins or enzyme complexes. It is very important because you have seen most of the times the reduced form of the coenzymes go to electron transport chain, carrying electron there. So what are those complexes? Complex 1 is regarded to be NADHQ oxidoreductase. What is Q? Q means coenzyme Q. It is a sort of coenzyme and serve as electron carrier. There you can see that cytochrome and different coenzymes which are serving as electron carrier used to involve, and also different compounds like that of iron sulfur used to be involved there in electron transport chain. So what is the next complex? That is succinate Q reductase, where you may find that reduced form of FAD is utilized. Now what is the third complex? That is Q cytochrome C oxidoreductase. There what happened? You will find cytochrome BC1 which is present in that complex. Now the complex 4, that is cytochrome oxidase reductase complex, and that is very important because there this enzyme, that is cytochrome oxidase, is very specific in its work. Now the next complex, that is complex 5th, and that is ATP synthase complex, which is relevant because that used to work in the last of the electron transport chain, and by there the energy generation used to occur. Because we know that a proton gradient is formed across the inner mitochondrial membrane, and in the last, by the backflow of the protons, energy is getting generated. So that is the main concept. Now we will see the next point. The enzymes for electron transport chain occurs in inner mitochondrial membrane in eukaryotes, and similar arrangement is found in cell membrane of prokaryotes. So if you will see in eukaryotes, electron transport chain is found to present in that of inner mitochondrial membrane, but in case you will see that of prokaryotes like bacteria, such type of system is found to present there associated to that of cell membrane, where you may find foldings or organelles like mesosomes. So it is important to know. Now the next point, that is chemiosmotic theory explains oxidative phosphorylation process, and it was given by Mitchell. It is already written here, and it was in year 1961. And chemiosmotic theory explains how the energy is generated across the inner membrane of mitochondria with the help of such electron carriers, thereby the oxidation reduction process used to be carried out. So that is the main concept. Now we will see other things, that is 5 protein complexes are present to carry out redox phenomenon with the help of electron carriers. The final acceptor of electron is oxygen ultimately. This is an important point because the final acceptor of the electron is oxygen. This is asked in most of the exams, so you must keep this thing in mind. Now the next point, there I have written the order of cytochrome arrangement. So kindly note down this point also, because it is also often asked in the examination. That is, electron will get transferred from cytochrome B to that of cytochrome C1. From there the electron will be transferred to cytochrome C, and from there it will be transferred further to cytochrome A, and then after to the cytochrome A3. That is written here, and you must note down this particular sequence of cytochromes. Now the next point, and that is regarding to the inhibitors, and these inhibitors are regarding the electron transport chain, which may cause inhibition by operating with relation to a particular complex. And what are these? Barbiturates for complex 1. Barbiturates like compound may inhibit complex 1. Likewise, malonate inhibits complex 2. And you might have seen malonate there also, which is the cause of inhibition in that of Krebs cycle. Now the third inhibitor, that is antimycin A and dimercaprol inhibitors used to inhibit complex 3. And likewise the carbon monoxide, CO means carbon monoxide, and H2S, that is hydrogen sulfide, and that of cyanide used to inhibit complex 4th. It is also very important, so kindly note down this thing also. So these are the facts which are related to Krebs cycle that I have summarized here and written clearly, systematically, so that you may remember it and understand the facts. And this is written in that manner. Kindly copy it down and try to remember each of the facts, because these are very important. Thanks.